Well, hello, you multi-monstrous, mysterious maelstroms. Yes, sounds a bit stormy there of a malt mention, but in fact it's a bit of a rum mention, so it's kind of suitable because rum tends to be connected with kind of stormy and maelstrom situations, and this is no exception. I'll come to this shortly. I'll introduce it to you in a minute. This is my review for Ralphie Review 1037, but first, a wonderful malt moment mention. Thank you to Nicholas Allende. Thank you, Nicholas. Much appreciated. I'm Ralphie, by the way. This is my bothy. This is my rustic, historic little stone shack somewhere in the middle of the Irish Sea on a small island. And I spend most of my time reviewing whiskey. But hang about, I'm never going to manage all that in a review. A little bit of this rum goes a long, long way. I've had this bottle over a year. It's called Smith & Cross Navy Strength Rum. It's bottled at 57% volume. It is a combination of two styles of Jamaican rum, both of which are intensely flavoured and of the molasses style. One of them, the Wedderburn, is matured for no more than about 6 months. It is the heavy component of this particular Jamaican rum blend, and it's very molasses, very estery, very fusile as well. It's very medicinal. Essentially, some Jamaican rums are the rum equivalent of what Laphroaig is to Scotch. It wouldn't be unreasonable to say that Jamaica is to rum what Islay is to Scotch whisky. That would not be unreasonable. There's also plumber component. Plumber is another style of a particular Jamaican rum which is softer. It contains not just molasses but natural sugarcane extract, unprocessed, unrefined, unboiled, and unconcentrated, and it's matured for up to 3 years, and it has a medium style. So what you have is a combination of a heavy ester and a medium ester Jamaican rum, which kind of meets in the middle. And if you're looking to get into these big volcanic Caribbean big blaster rums, this is a very affordable and good place to start because it's made palatable. You will find bottles like this in high-end bars which take pride in having a powerful flavoursome ingredient to put in dark and stormies and other dark rum cocktails apart from Captain Morgan's and other industrial sanitised products. In other words, I'm saying this is real rum. I'm going to go further now. I'm going to go further because, this is part of my rum series, my midsummer rum series, where I'm just taking a little bit of time out from whiskey, because the problem with whiskey is that people not only institutionalise their palates, but institutionalise their attitudes in that Scotch single malt whiskey is the be-all, end-all, there's nothing else comes near, and there's nothing else worth considering. This is absolute nonsense. It is absurd, and it is very closed-minded. And the people that have this attitude tend to have overly conservative, shut-down palates, which are not getting the full dynamic of whatever they're experiencing because they are fueled, unfortunately, by their own prejudice references. Their smell and taste references, which are full of prejudice and fill in the gaps, and for the money they've paid, the palates will persuade them that the product is actually better than it is. I'm going to share something important with you here before I read some comment on the back of this label. See brands like this. Brands like this, sipping, quality, affordable. You should get a bottle in the UK for £45. It's 57%, by the way. Bear that in mind. You'd be struggling to find a whisky that would offer you that, specifically, in particular, a single malt whisky. You really would be struggling. The fact is that this is, in my experience over the years of drinking rum in parallel to whisky, I have noticed more consistency and less batch variances in good quality rums than I have found in supposedly good quality single malt Scotch whiskies. Now, bear that in mind. I'll come back to that later on, perhaps in my extras, right? On the back of this label, we're given some very useful information. Sure, we're given a little recipe for the Doctor, which is a rum cocktail, and Millions, which is a rum cocktail. But I'm sipping this. I don't make cocktails. Cocktails are of no interest to me. That's the fact of it. So let's get out the steampunker, and I'm going to give you some really, really practical, important information that any whisky fan is really going to relate to and respect. And it says here, where does it say it? We have, at the end of the first paragraph, the two last lines, we have chosen not to chill filter this spirit in order to retain its full flavour. Thank you, Smith & Cross. Thank you for confirming what everybody now knows, that chill filtration reduces flavour. It absolutely does. You can prove this empirically through scientific examination. Chill filtration diminishes flavour. This is unchill filtered. The majority of Scotch single malt whisky is filtered. That is such a shame. That it is what it is, and it's a real shame, and I'm going to start moving out this review into the rum itself, because I don't know about you, malt mates, but I'm a whisky reviewer reviewing rum. I am not a rum reviewer. But as part of my whisky reviews, I will have a little bit of time out, just a few weeks. That's all it needs. And I know that there's half as many people watching the videos as I would get if I was reviewing Scotch whisky. But frankly, do I look like I give a damn? No, because one of my primary purposes in this channel is to educate you whether you like it or not. So what have we got in the glass? A lot of odour. I mean, it's 57%. 57% specifically. And they call it Navy strength. When any spirits, whether it be rum, gin or brandy, is put on board a Navy ship, it goes in the hold. And the hold is where you find the ballast. In the hold is the most stable part of the ship, because it's below the waterline. But what will happen is when a Navy ship is attacked, it can be hauled below the waterline, and it can damage what's inside the hold. And if the barrels of rum, brandy or whatever's being carried were to spill and make contact with the gunpowder, now I'm talking historically here, it would make the gunpowder unusable. Now this is a matter of life and death, and therefore to have the spirits at sufficiently higher strength that even if soaked in the gunpowder would still work in the cannons, is where we get Navy strength from. And there you have it. What have I got in the nose here? It's beautiful. when I do my rum reviews, I'm having a rum season, because it lets me taste rums in relation to one another and actually just take a step away from whiskey before I get too jaded at times with some of the antics that unfortunately are going on in some of the businesses. But I'll cover that in more detail in my forthcoming series on auction purchases. That's going to be a biggie. So what have we got here is estery. Estery is a natural chemical compound which smells of overripe fruit and glue. You know, on a bad day. On a good day, it smells of heaven. It smells of tropical sunlit paradise. And this is what we're getting here. It is superbly well-made spirit. Enormously naturally toffeed. It has bitter cherries, cola, ginger, with so much flavour there. Particularly once it settles down in the glass and starts to oxidise, you're going to pick out an awful lot of separate contributory notes, including overripe fruit, almost rotting fruit at times, particularly mango. And you'll find overripe bananas, the ones with the black skin that are starting to going squishy. Magical, fantastic. But it's delivered like silk, actually, on the nose. The composition, the range of flavours, and this isn't a particularly volcanic style of high ester rum. You'll find that in the Hampden range, the orthodox Hampden range. But this, it has almost a full range. As the more time you spend nosing it, the more you'll pick out delicate notes. Lemon juice is one example. Grapefruit rind is another. There's floral notes coming through of hibiscus and lily and freesia. I'm also getting old-fashioned rugosa roses. That kind of rose otto thing going on there. Let's have a taste. %57%. It's remarkably smooth for that strength of alcohol. This is superbly made spirit by any standard. I don't care even what the ingredients are. This is a very professionally done production. It's excellent. Sour pineapple, melon notes, overripe guavas, mangoes, the bananas, intense, almost confectionery, synthetically flavoured banana jelly sweets. I'm adding 1 spoon, I'm adding 2 spoons, I'm adding 3 spoons. This rum will take a lot of water. I like a lot of water. It gives you access to what's going on in the spirit by immediately, in the space of an hour or so, just weakening the alcohol. Now we've done that comprehensively. You can see the viscimmetry in it. There's even a very slight cloudiness will immediately appear. Such is the density of the rum that it takes a few minutes for the viscimmetry to disappear. So it's far bolder, far more of a dense spirit than any single malt you're going to come across, which by and large is relatively delicate. Yeah, even the peaty ones. So back to the nose. This is confectioner's custard. It is yacht varnish, yeah, in a nice way. It's plastic model assembly kits where you need that little tube of glue. I'm getting horsehoof glue. I'm getting a few glue notes, but that is only because that traditionally, from my background, is what I'm relating to. This is a tropical spirit, not a Northern Hemisphere spirit. And as such, you're just getting these close approximation reference notes that we can't fully articulate articulate because we're not actually at the place of production. So we're not getting the local smells of fermenting discarded sugarcane, which would give this sort of aroma, particularly out in the baking summer sun, where temperatures are hitting 50 degrees. You don't get that in Northern Europe. It settles down so beautifully. It becomes so much more, it's slightly savoury. The estery notes do start to become savoury. There is a note of umami in there, a vegetal umami, and I'm getting a slight seaweed note of it. Samphire seaweed. Once it's been left a bit, and it's a kind of salty, relatively tasteless seaweed, but when you leave it out, it kind of starts to go slightly soapy, and I'm getting a touch of that, and it goes kind of savoury soapy. It is, in its character, it's quite brandy-like. It's almost like a fusion of experienced rum and brandy put together. The sheer complexity and intensity, having added that much water, it really confirms just how much flavour is locked up in the alcohol. You don't get these without long fermentation times. You don't get these without high ester dunder sludge that is used, that is never used in Scotch whisky. I only wish they would, to reuse some of the over fermented or decaying lees that's left at the end of distillation. Let it carry on a bit and put it back in a batch and see what happens. That Scotch whisky companies could do it. They don't want to, they don't even think about it. My goodness, they hardly even want to start even experimenting with yeasts these days. They're so conservative. This is such a refreshing change from whisky, because there's no way in a million years you would ever confuse this with a whisky, or a bourbon, or a rye, or a mezcal, or a tequila. You just wouldn't. The smell only comes from one spirit and one spirit alone, rum. It's a definitive. Excellent value, superb quality, engaging, challenging, palate rinsing, lingering, complex, delightful spirit, and I do recommend it to you. One last taste before the rum mark. It's become brighter, more citrus. Lemon cream confectionery. Beautiful gingery, pickled ginger dryness. So the sensations are bold and rich and out there. And I'd like to tell you something else here, is that, see, after a few hours in the glass, this will not fade. A number of Scotch whiskies will fade. This is one when you don't quite finish the glass and you put a lid on it and you come back the following day and you smell the glass, it's as fresh as the moment you poured it. It hasn't faded like a Scotch single malt whisky or a grain whisky would. And there we have it. I could go on. I'll have one more taste, one more sip. Spices are coming through. Clove is prominent. Cinnamon, intense, almost a slightly chilly allspice is in there. Cardamom, absolutely. Savoury note. I'm actually getting almost a coal ember note, or a chimney char. It's more of a char note. That's what it is. As if they charred the sugar cane. But I'll leave it at that. I highly recommend this to any whiskey drinker. Rum drinkers don't need any persuasion because the rum scene already know and are very familiar with this brand of rum, and they value it for the extraordinary character that it provides to their palate. I'm going to give this 86 out of 100. It is not as complex and as sophisticated as my last rum review of Havana Club, Selección de Maestros. It's a different kind of rum. This merely articulates how diverse the rum category is, not just within the Caribbean, but globally. But I tell you what, don't forget, Maltmates, this is history here. A history which is far older than Scotch whisky. Far older. This goes back to the 16th century. The first commercial distillate produced in the New World, in the Americas, is historically and on record, so you never quite know, but we've got to work in something, it's rum. And rum started in the Caribbean. It made the fortune for the Caribbean. It made fortunes for the pirates, the buccaneers, the traders and the travellers. And it's still there waiting for us to be found if we care to make the journey onto the high seas of discovery. Now, I hope that wasn't too cliched a conclusion, but thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this, subscribe if you haven't, leave a comment, etc. I do glance over them, although I tend to leave replies now to my Patreon subscribers. And we'll have more about that because I'm busy there. And I want to give subscribers my full attention. But if you pop back for Ralphie Review 1037, extras coming along shortly, I'm going to tell you about a rum show that I was at recently. I want to tell you all about it, and I want to tell you why I recommend that you buy tickets to a rum show, particularly if you are a whiskey drinker. And I know that many rum drinkers don't really attend these shows, and they should. See you soon.